Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel, We're the Movie Couple. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And here's our non-spoiler review for Godzilla Vs Kong. It is finally time for us to see these two titans battle it out on the big screen or your TV screen. Godzilla Vs Kong is now available in theaters and on HBO Max, and there's been a lot of, trailer reactions leading up to this film.
Mm-hmm.
The talk of, are you team #Kong? Are you team #Godzilla? It's kind of hard to choose. Like, for me, the clear answer for me is Godzilla, because I've always been a Godzilla girl, a kaiju girl, but there is so much heart with Kong, in all the previous movies, that it's kind of hard to, not also root for him. But we finally get to see the next chapter in this one. We've kind of been seeing these Godzilla films slowly teeing up for this big confrontation, kaiju-sized confrontation, and we couldn't wait to see it.
And it's weird to see the evolution of these three Godzilla movies, going from where you barely saw Godzilla and the monsters until the very end, and then to where in the Godzilla vs. King of Monsters is that you get so many different monsters in there and so many different battles that it's like...
Which is great.
And then you focus Godzilla vs. Kong on just these two legendary titans.
Yes.
It's a really good way to kind of build up to this story, to this action scene, so to speak.
So what's interesting about this film is that the humans are... Well, there's a team of humans who are wanting to protect Kong. Kong is being very tired of being... While safe, caged up. There's a lot of frustration. There's talks of, do you move him? And then there's the argument of, once we move him, Godzilla is going to come for him. And that's something you kind of don't like, a titan versus another titan, you don't want to mess with that.
Make sure that when these two hit, make sure that it's not in the city. And that's the exact opposite of what happens, of course.
Yeah, you saw that in the trailer. We go to Hong Kong, which, by the way, since we're talking about this, Adam Wingard, who directed this film, the way he colored this movie, the lighting effect and the addition of like all these neon colors that really pop in a lot of the scenes, made it really cool to me. It made me feel like I was kind of caught in that, even though I guess a bit of a fantastical world where Godzilla and Kong does exist, and that is the ultimate threat, plus all the other kaijus they've seen before, Monster Zero, Mothra, King Kong, Godzilla, and so on and so forth. So I just want to say I do appreciate that, and when you do watch the film, you will... I don't think you will not notice the neon colors and the interesting pops of color, the cinematography effects that he put, if that's even the right terminology, that's in the film. And I didn't really feel like I noticed that in the previous film, so I think they kind of bumped that up in this one, all for the big showdown.
Yeah, and that's definitely what this movie is. And probably one of the biggest, best part of this movie is any time that Kong or Godzilla, when they're really focusing on these kaiju, when they're really focusing on just the incredible spectacle of this battle, that is when this movie just shines. And you're just like on your feet, you're cheering, you're just like, yeah, for these amazing action scenes.
Yeah, especially, they definitely gave Kong, because we've had, the previous movie is Godzilla and the Godzilla King of Monster, but then Kong kind of only had Kong Skull Island. So I felt like they gave sort of the first act of the movie a lot of the time of that dedicated to Kong, so we can kind of get caught up. And then, but that excitement, because it was pretty heavy with the exposition in the beginning, but then once Godzilla made his way into the scene, I was like, oh, here we go. This is the fight we've all been looking for, and I feel like I got what was promised, which was a big, epic monster battle. It's all I wanted to see, and I felt like I could have gotten even more, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Another thing that I really liked about this movie is they introduced a character named Gia, who uses sign language. She's deaf and she uses sign language, played by Kaylee Hotto, I believe hopefully I'm saying her name correctly, but she will, like, if Godzilla and Kong doesn't steal your heart, she will.
Yeah.
Like, she is phenomenal in all of her scenes, and she is kind of that bridge of communication for Kong to the rest of, like, the I guess the team Kong humans in the film. And I really like that additional touch of like this little girl has that connection with Kong.
Honestly, I wish they would have had a little bit more of that, because it really did bring a lot of heart to the movie of Kong and this little girl interacting back and forth and being able to communicate with each other. And I almost wish they would have given Kong a little bit more of like a Coco, like the real gorilla Coco personality, to which Kong could actually have an actual dialogue instead of just these little one or two words sentences and that's it. I think it would be nice to actually have almost like a little bit of like an actual dialogue with King Kong, and people actually could kind of talk back and forth a little bit. Not too much, but just the heart that you get from this movie really is coming from Kong and this little girl.
I will say yes to your idea to a degree, but the whole point is that Gia is supposed to be deaf, and that's why they don't need words and sound to communicate.
Well, no, conversation as in the...
the more of the sign language.
More sign language.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit more of that to kind of to further humanize Kong, to kind of really play that like tug on your heartstring moments, you know, because it is, as we said all along, a battle that comes down to who's going to fall. Is it going to be Godzilla or is it going to be Kong? And who do you want to root for more? And they use that a little bit to be like, oh, I'm Godzilla, but I'm also like, I really like Kong. So obviously we got amazing battles. I thought the monsters, or should I say the Titans, they're not monsters, they're Titans. And I thought they looked amazing. Just hearing Godzilla, you know, the shrill, the sound that he makes, and when he does like the breath. Oh, it's so good. One thing I will say that I'm surprised that they didn't put in, and maybe I missed it. I will have to watch it again on HBO Max now that it's out. So they didn't put the Godzilla theme.
They had.
I don't remember.
There was one part in it that had like a little bit of it at the beginning, but it looked like they were trying to avoid copyrights, but still kind of give you a hint of that whatever.
Oh, you're right. We can't have it because
there was a moment that they did that, and it was kind of a little bit of a tease and a little bit of a letdown because you wanted to hear more.
Yeah, it makes you, like, your shoulders want to do this.
And makes you want to get into, like, a fighting kind of a mood.
Yeah. So I would say, did it satisfy our want for a kaiju monster titan battle? For me, it definitely did. Did the fight satisfy you?
Yes. The fights, the special effects, and, I think there's a total of, like, maybe 4 total kaiju battles, and then a few sprinkling of kaiju destruction in between it. If it's not just like, for example, like Godzilla just coming on and just smashing a certain area and then leaving.
Right, and it is just so good. So if that's what you are looking for, you're definitely going to get that in this film. Anything you want having to do with any of these two titans, you're going to get it in its glory, because they definitely gave it its screen time. If you're kind of going into this movie and you want to see more of the human connection and the conflicts and who's doing what and why, I don't think you'll be satisfied. As for us, that wasn't really satisfactory, and I felt like they went a really different direction than what they went with for King of Monsters, because I felt that was, and I have to rewatch that movie because it's been a minute, but I felt like, and maybe because it was it was just condensed to just a few cast members, perhaps, but I felt like the human story and the story of Godzilla kind of went in parallel, and I love seeing that together in this one.
Really? And in King of Monsters?
Well, again, I don't remember because it's been a minute, but I felt in comparing to this movie.
Oh, okay.
I felt like I got, maybe that's the better way to say it.
That's in the comparison.
In comparison to this movie, I felt like I got more from the humans in that movie. And again, I am not walking into this movie to be like, oh, let's see what the humans are doing. Like,
let's see some character development here.
I really just want to see Kong and Godzilla battle it out, which is what we got. But I felt like when the cameras were on the humans, it felt messy. The pacing felt really weird. The dialogue felt awkward to me. It's just, it just didn't flow like naturally, and I felt like the motivations were really, really weird, as if maybe a lot of things ended up on the cutting room floor, and that's why it felt like there were some gaps that needed to be filled in. And this is after they did an intense amount of exposition in the first act.
I truly think that it seems like they kind of were like they shot a whole bunch of stuff, and they were kind of like, well, you know, the human aspect of this movie is not what people are really going to be watching. So just throw a whole bunch of like different little scenes in there that might kind of progress the story a little bit, or at least confuse the audience enough to be like, wait, where's Kong and Godzilla? That's what we're here for.
Right. And
because honestly, if Kong and Godzilla aren't on the screen, I personally found everything else to be a huge mess. The dialogue, the characters, the motivation, the story structure,
with the exception of Gia. And Rebecca Hall. I will say that they were probably my two favorite out of the humans.
And also a lot of things just didn't make sense. Like, why, how did they build, I can't, there were certain technologies and certain things and that I'm like, wait, how would that even be possible? But then you move it on because it's not really important. And then there's just a lot of things that just seems to be thrown in there to hope that the audience just doesn't analyze it enough to find out that it really doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really fit. It doesn't really flow. Like the whole purpose of one character was solely pretty much just to give the other characters a vehicle to be able to get to one location, and it just makes it
wasted too. Talent wasted. So.
To make it so it's in the theme of some of the much older Godzilla movies, to where you watch the parts that have Godzilla in it, and then you fast forward through the rest of the movie because you really don't. Oh yeah.
Oh.
That's kind of how a lot of the old Godzilla movies are.
I didn't know.
Where it's some of the scenes in the old Godzilla movies. True, they were made many years ago, but some of them are like super cringeworthy. And they kind of keep that theme going in this movie to where some of these scenes are just cringeworthy if Godzilla or King Kong are not a part of it.
And I think they're I think they understand that for the most part, the audience are there to see the big showdown.
Yes.
And less so on the human characters. So they gave us enough to kind of help us understand this is where we are, and that's why these titans are fighting, and whose most motivation is here and what is here. But it felt really I felt, aside from Rebecca Hall and Gia and maybe a little bit of Alexander Skarsgård, I felt like everybody else was really, I felt so disconnected from the rest of them. And to kind of reiterate again, I'm going to see Godzilla and Kong, so it didn't bother me too much, but the fact that it was so jarring and kind of awkward and it felt like it was all over the place just didn't feel... I felt like it could have flowed a little bit better when it came to a lot of dialogues, and I felt like they left a lot cut out that they could have stood to put back in just for a little bit, just to help it flow a little bit more natural.
Or at least just simplify exactly what's going on. It seems like they wanted to add in so much. They didn't really care how they threw it in there. And it was just very chaotic, jumbled. Who talks like this kind of a thing? Why is this person such a stereotypical villain? A lot of their villains in this were very much, I'm only doing this because I'm evil. And it doesn't even really make you evil. I feel like they really could have made a lot of these characters a lot more sympathetic by just tweaking the storyline a little bit, kind of a thing. But once again, we're not here for them.
Yeah.
We're here for Godzilla and King Kong.
And one of my favorite things that they did with King Kong was they gave us an in-depth of, they went into, I don't know if I can say this if this is a spoiler, but they gave him an arc where you find out a little bit of more of King Kong's like origin or the ancestry.
Yes.
And I loved actually seeing that part of it where... because it's really all I wanted was to know a little bit more about the monsters, and how do you do it without the characters going, oh, this is this and that is that, and here we go is another exposition heavy like essay scene. We don't need that, and they did that really, really well with Kong. So I enjoyed seeing that because we've seen, quite a bit, in previous movies with Godzilla. So Godzilla not just necessarily needing it, but I felt like with Kong, I enjoy seeing that little bit of addition to his story. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and rate this movie as if we saw it in theater. We saw it at a drive-in, but, did get to experience in theater, maybe eventually before it leaves theater. I don't know yet, but that's how we're going to go ahead and rate our films, our review. And if you want to check out our movie review scale, it is listed in the description below. So we'll go with Dustin first.
Well, for me, I'm going to kind of give this 2 ratings. 1, if you're the kind of person going into this movie kind of expecting to be like, okay, I'm going to fast forward through the human parts, and then anytime that there's a giant monster on screen, that's when I'm actually going to push play, then I'm going to say stream it. I'm going to say that this movie is definitely, you're going to have fun watching Godzilla and Kong. You're going to have fun watching any moments that have a giant monster in it. If you're kind of expecting to be able to sit through an entire movie and enjoy the entire film, I'm going to say matinee it.
For me, I was going in fully invested in seeing these 2 titans battle it out. It's really all I wanted. I didn't really care as much for the humans, and kind of like Dustin said, I guess, if I didn't know about the fast forwarding thing, I didn't realize that was a thing. Not saying that I would have fast forwarded through their dialogues, because some of them I liked. Mostly the scenes with Gia and Rebecca Hall were probably my faves, because I really felt the connection there. But going in, knowing what I wanted to see, which was all the amazing battles between Godzilla and Kong, and just seeing them wreak havoc on each other, was check the boxes for me. So my rating for this film is check it out. If you saw the movie, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!